Hello, this is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host on globalradiotalkshow.com, coming to you today from San Diego, California, and London, England, UK. Our special guest today is Mr. Nick Ganzha, the founder and CEO of Acumen International. Let's say hello and welcome Nick. Hello.
Hello, Ed, and it's a pleasure that you invited me to your show.
I'm really honored to have you. I look forward to learning a lot from you during this conversation. So globalradiotalkshow.com is a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net, and we're publishers of the Global HR News. So I wanted to find out more about you, Nick, and Acumen International. What makes Acumen International a valuable partner to corporations today? What do you do? How do you do it?
Yeah, so Acumen International is a global employer of record company. We help multinationals employ their workforce globally. So we help companies which do not have their own legal entities in different foreign countries. So we help them employ their workforce in these countries in a fast, compliant, and easy way.
So how are you able to do that with full compliance?
Right. As you know it, companies nowadays pay full attention to compliance. And when you employ personnel through the employment contract, you know it for sure that you have a compliance solution. Because normally a lot of companies, they work with freelancers or contractors. And when you work with a freelancer, you're never sure how do they manage their own taxes. Yes, because this is not your area of expertise. But when you have a person employed by a local legal entity, employed on an employment contract, then you are assured that local taxes are being handled.
This is really interesting. And so do you have local attorneys in each country?
Absolutely. We have local partners globally. So right now we have partnership agreements with 190 countries. It's where we operate. Basically, we cover the whole globe. So if a company approaches us and asks us to employ a person anywhere in the world, we can do it easily. And what's important, we can do it very fast.
So what about data privacy? There's so much information that you guys would have by necessity. How are you able to guarantee that information remains private and secure?
Yeah, it's very interesting question, because nowadays, I mean, with the introduction of GDPR, a lot of companies, they understand the importance of this new legislation. So what we do, we keep all the information private, and we use secured messaging between our company and our partners. Basically, where all these people are employed, all information is kept securely.
Thank you for that. I have another question about control and who do these people work for? Do they work for the big corporation or do they work for you?
Yeah, that's interesting, because basically nowadays with globalization coming to every company, different companies, they employ personnel around the globe, not only multinationals as it was before. So nowadays, even small and medium companies, they want to tap into the global talent pool, and therefore our solution is ideal solution for them.
So tell us about, let's do a deep dive. Let's go a little bit deeper about your organization and how you do this. Tell us about Express Global Solutions.
Yeah. So we call it Express Global Employment because we can employ people in a very fast manner. So normally for companies to employ a person somewhere overseas, it takes up to 2 weeks. You know, sometimes it may take even up to 1 month. But with our solution, we can employ people within 72 hours. So we had situation when we employed a person in Peru within 6 hours when a client approached us. So for us, it was a really fast pace. You know, even for us, It was really fast-paced to employ a person within 6 hours. So this is a difference between global employment and express global employment, because within express global employment solution, we can employ workforce within 72 hours.
Thank you for that. Good information. That's very helpful for our listening audience. Our listening audience are corporate, according to Google Analytics, if we can believe all that. Our audience is global, with 60% of our audience in the US and Canada, mostly Toronto, about 20% across Europe, about 15% Asia Pacific, and that includes Australia and Singapore and China and India, Japan, Korea. It's a big area, fast-growing area for us as well. About 4% of our audience, according to Google, is located in Latin America. And as you know, Brazil is fast-growing. They've had some issues, but they're picking up again. And Argentina is growing. Panama is great. Mexico is doing real well, especially with the new agreement between US and Canada. And about 1%, according to Google, is in North Africa, South Africa, and the Middle East. Tel Aviv, as well as Riyadh, as well as in Amman. And also we have some readership scattered in Pakistan, and even in Tehran. Very interesting. Cairo as well. So that's our audience, and 90% are corporate, according to Google Analytics. So these are huge responsibilities, as I can imagine, and I'm not a technician, but I do read and learn about global business, and the phenomenon now is gig. What does gig mean to you in your business?
Right. So there's different definitions. Some people call it gig economy, some people call it shared economy or sharing economy. So basically, during the sharing economy, the most important thing is that you can rent or hire assets of different companies or individuals. And basically, I have a saying that in the new sharing economy, access to assets is the new ownership. Basically, to expand globally or even to work in your own country and to use the sharing economy to the full extent, nowadays you don't need to own these assets, all right? So what you need to own, you need to have your partners around the globe or in your country, or you need to have individuals which would be happy to share their unused assets. All right, so in our case, what we do, we established partnership agreements with partners around the globe, and we use their legal entities as vehicles to employ individuals around the globe. So therefore, we are using, in our industry, we're using the sharing economy to the full extent. So we call ourselves as Uber in the employment industry.
That's clever, very clever. So tell me more about the relocation aspects, the mobility, the technical difficulties connected with relocation of staff across borders. How are you involved with that?
Right, so we employ individuals, we employ local individuals as well as expatriates. Because as you understand, some companies, they wish to send their own personnel on the ground. Right, to have control what's going on in these countries. Especially, for example, if they build remote teams, they want to send someone from their headquarters to make sure everything is going fine, all right? Or if they expand to some other markets, they want as well some people from their own headquarters to be on the ground. So what we do, we help companies receive work permits for these individuals. Okay, and we manage all official things related to their coming to this country. So we receive work permits and we receive residence permits if it's needed. So this is our main area of expertise, that these people can work legally on the ground on these international markets.
Well, thank you. So let's skip aside for a second here. Let's step aside and talk about you, Nick.
Yeah.
Your background's with the Big Four accounting firms, isn't it? Or Accenture and Big Four, is that correct?
Absolutely. I spent 5 years altogether working for Pricewaterhouse and Anderson Consulting. These days it's called Accenture. It's a multinational, international consulting company.
Yes. So you have a deep experience dealing with companies who have this kind of a need. And then you transferred this specific knowledge into the PEO. Is that correct?
Yeah. So after working for 5 years for these multinationals, I decided to establish my own business. And I started from the local staffing agency. So we did staffing and recruitment for local companies and multinational companies. But then on a later stage, in about 10 or 11 years, so I have seen that we had some sort of stall in our business. You know, besides, staffing business is really low margin business. Basically, you work on volumes. So I had this situation when a client I had, a German company, approached myself and asked me to employ their sales reps in Romania. And basically that's how it all started, because I never had any experience of employing people overseas. Besides, in addition to payroll, they wanted us to actually provide some infrastructure to these individuals. They wanted us to lease cars for them, to give them mobiles, you know, to give them an office space. So basically provide all infrastructure on the ground. So for me, it was sort of a challenge because I never had any experience employing people in the international markets. So that was the start. And obviously I said yes to this company, because I wanted to help my client. And that's how the whole business started. Because from that particular client, you know, I helped them to employ the sales reps in Romania. It was in 2011, basically 8 years from now. And so that's how I started, because I looked at the different markets, and I understood that a lot of multinational companies, they actually need that solution. You know, when they want to work with one single provider and have all global contracts managed for them. So this was the beginning of the shift, you know, for my business from a local staffing agency into a global employer of record company.
So about the guarantees that you offer to your corporate clients, I'm sure there are many, and I'd like to do a deep dive with you. We can go into that in just a moment. What about performance management? Are you involved in that, or is that residing with the corporate?
Yeah. So we don't do performance management. So what we work on is just an employment issues. All right. So we make sure that these employees are employed in a compliant way. Okay. We make sure that they receive their payroll, they receive all the benefits needed in accordance with local legislation. As for the performance management, the company itself, the actual real employer, deals with the performance management.
I got it. And so the communications by the employee, when they have an issue, they contact the company. And are you involved in those communications as well?
Yeah, when local employees have some issues related to local legislation, normally they approach us, and we deal with these issues. Okay, but if the real employer wants to impose some different terms, you know, of employment for these individuals, or they want to pay some bonuses for their performance, obviously they approach us.
So to what extent do you get involved with the personal service, personal issues that may come up with these people who are on assignment in an international location. Are you involved in those, or is that once again the issue of the mobility company or an issue directly of engagement with the company?
Yeah, normally we're involved quite often because these employees on the ground, they perceive us as their real employer. Okay, so if they have any issues related, for example, to their insurance or related to their family insurance or some sort of issues in that particular country, they come to us first. Okay, so we serve as an intermediary between our client and these employees.
So your experience is basically strong and positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really a wonderful thing, and you're really fortunate. And so how many companies do you do this for currently?
So right now we work with about 50 companies.
Wow.
Yeah, but for some companies we do it just for several people. For some companies we do it for big number of people. You see,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that for a company, it's really beneficial to have only a single global contract with our company, meaning we can employ people on the ground in as many countries as they wish. So they don't need to have local contracts with these individuals, or in comparison to working with the local staffing agencies, because I believe you may have a question. So why companies come to you instead of going directly to local staffing agencies, which can do the same basically as what you do? And the huge benefit for companies working with us is that they have single global contract and we provide global coverage. All right, so anywhere this company wants to go today or tomorrow, they come to us. They don't need to care about managing all these different international contracts and all the issues in all these countries. So they have one contract, and we may have in one country, we may have 20 or 30 different contracts with different providers, actually providing different services to these employees on the ground.
So when you communicate with the people, the employee on the ground, is it by text or telephone or email or everything?
We use all methods of communication. So we can call them, we can email them, we can even pay a visit.
So in each country where you have people, employees, do you have a local manager in that country?
Yes, as I said, so in several countries we have our own legal entities, but our business model is to work through local partner companies. So you understand that we want to use the sharing economy to the full extent. And basically working with local partners, it gives us flexibility and it gives us assurance that everything is done properly on the market, because these are established, trusted companies. These are our vetted partners. All right, so before we signed a partnership agreement with them, they went through the rigorous due diligence process from our side. So we wanted to make sure that we work with vetted partners on the ground.
Well, thank you very much for that info. Tell us about how you founded Acumen International and what year. How long has this been around?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I started this business in year 2000. Okay, in year 2000, I was thinking how to call my company. And obviously I wanted to call it starting from letter A to be the first, in the alphabet, to be the first in yellow pages, which were present those days. Okay, and I was looking at different words which actually started with letter A. And I came across a word, acumen, which I really loved, because I love this phrase, acumen, business acumen. Okay, because business acumen, it's what, this phrase actually made me tick. you know, and this word inside this word, as you see, there's a part of the word which says men, which actually relate to HR industry where I work. So therefore it was a no-brainer actually. So the word is short, simple, easy to remember, and it's really English. Acumen. It has man inside it.
And tell me about where you're going from here. What's the next step for Acumen International?
So we spent last 8 years actually building our global network. And our global network helps us leverage our expertise to our clients. Basically, our clients can leverage our expertise in all the markets globally. So where do we head right now? So right now, I have this goal to have this global employee of record service basically on the doorsteps of each company in the world. Because previously, only big corporations can afford to hire personnel globally. You know, only big corporations had this opportunity to tap into the global talent pool. As you know, the talent is your competitive advantage. And I believe that if small or medium-sized companies tap into the global talent pool, they become more competitive. Okay, and now they can compete with global corporations. So my huge goal is to have global employee of record service on the doorsteps of each company, not dependent on its size.
Let's talk about compliance once again, because it's such a major issue. And people are very worried about hacking on the internet and stealing data. I would imagine you have very strong security standards. Do you want to just review that issue with us for a moment?
Compliance is number one nowadays. And companies actually want to pay more to have the compliance solution. You see, so companies perceive us not as a company where they can cut their costs, but as a company which provides the solution to them. And they perceive our company and payments they make to our company as an investment into growing into different markets and hiring global talent. Okay, so compliance is number one issue, and we do all our best to make sure that our clients are happy and we provide fully compliant solution. And as I told you, how do we make sure that the solution is compliant is by employing personnel in all these countries. Because if you have an employment contract in the country, meaning when you pay payroll to these individuals, you must to pay local taxes. And by paying local taxes, you are assured that the solution is compliant.
So give us a couple of names, if you can, or types of companies, the industries are okay. What kind of small companies, relatively speaking, do you have as customers? And are you involved in energy and international communications companies? Give us a clue about who you're doing this with and for.
Yeah, Ed. So we work with the majority of industries. One of the industries we work is IT companies, IT and telecommunication companies, which tap into the global talent pool. So I have this saying, employ based on skills, not on geography. And if you have a person with the right skills you need for your project, for you as a company, it doesn't matter where this person lives. All right, so what matters for you is his skills, and his skills which he can add to your team and to your project. So working through us, you as a client, basically you don't care where that person lives. All right, so you just give us an assignment to employ that individual anywhere. Okay, so
Thank you.
so I can add as well that we, as I say, we work with a variety of industries, IT industry, for example, energy companies, which send their engineers around the globe in the countries where they either drill some oil or they do some green energy projects. In addition to energy companies, we work with different FMCG companies which decided to expand globally. For example, they may use our solution as a preliminary solution before they open their fully fledged office on the ground. Or they can use our solution for the ongoing period. For example, they employ these individuals, as we call them, brand ambassadors, to work with their dealers or distributors, or to expand their client pool. So we employ engineers on the ground, we employ support staff, or we employ sales representatives. So it can be basically anyone. We have situation when one really famous air company sold their airplane to one country, and they send their engineers to serve this airplane in this country. And because the government bought these airplanes, as you understand, the government couldn't employ these foreign individuals on the ground. So this company approached us and asked us, do we have a solution to employ these engineers in this particular country? And obviously, we said yes, and we opened work permits, and afterwards we employed these people, and we actually helped relocate them with their families. We provide insurance to these engineers and to their families. We help them find apartments where they live right now. So our projects can encompass a lot of interesting things. As I say, we have one contract with the client, and on the ground in this particular market, we may have up to 10, 20, or 30 contracts with local vendors.
I understand. Thank you very much for that detailed explanation. I think our audience will learn a lot from that. And are most of your customers in Europe, based in Europe, or are they worldwide?
Not really. Our customers are worldwide. Our customers are coming from US market, from Canada, from Europe. We work basically with the majority of the developed countries.
Excellent. Well, it just sounds like you have a lot of work to do every day, 24/7. How do you keep up with it?
I have a big family. I have a big team, as I call them family, Acumen family. So I have a big team which actually manages all these projects. And one of the benefits for our client as well is to have a single account manager which would manage all projects across the globe. And if our client wants to employ people on different markets, they would need to have different account managers in each market. With our solutions, they have only one account manager, as we call him, dedicated account manager. Actually not him, but her, because the majority of my staff are female.
Well, thank you very much for this information. As we come to a close, Nick Ganzha, tell us about what you do away from work, if that is, if you have any time left. What do you like to do outside of work?
Yeah, I like to travel very much, and basically my love for travel, brought me to the idea that I need to have a global company. And my dream was to build a global company myself. Okay, but once I started to help other international companies build their global business, I understood that I'm fulfilling my own dream. Okay, so, and I have a different saying as well. If I go to some country, I always have a person in any country in the world to drink beer with.
Well, I can't wait to do that with you personally, and I'll meet you in London someday or somewhere in the US. So tell me about your travel plans coming up for the rest of this year. Where are you going to be? Do you know yet?
Yeah, I love to travel to the United States because, as I say, I have a lot of customers in the United States, which I would love to visit personally to understand their global plans. I travel to Europe, Switzerland, Germany, and obviously France and Italy. These are my favorite places.
So when you come to California, let me know, and we'll show you around. And
I
I'll
love California.
glad to buy you a beer.
Or wine,
Oh, wine, that's even better, right? Or maybe both.
both.
Okay, so I really have enjoyed this conversation with you, Nick Ganzha, and learning about Acumen International. And I also know that within the industry of PEOs, there are several other companies who say they're doing similar things, but it seems like you have a real good grip on customer service, and the compliance issues are number one, customer service number one, and I really congratulate you on your success. Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you. Yes, you are absolutely right, because that industry is really dynamic. So we have some competitors, obviously. We're not alone on this market.
Yeah.
But our biggest strength is that we have this global coverage. You know, we invested more than 20,000 work hours together with my staff to build that global network. And by building the global network, we made sure that we have the compliance solution in each country, and we have a really trusted partner. So that nowadays, even our competition comes to us when they need the solution in some remote or exotic countries.
Thank you, Nick Ganzha. How can people get in touch with you? For instance, what is the website?
Yeah, they can go to our website www.expressglobalemployment.com. And in addition, we developed just recently a new website to let our clients, or basically anyone, to have estimates of total payroll costs in any country. So we developed this online tool which we call Global Payroll Calculator. And our clients can find it, or prospects, or basically anyone on the market can find it under the domain globalpayrollcalculator.com. So it's really easy, globalpayrollcalculator.com. If you go there, you can make estimates of total payroll costs broken down by taxes in 190 countries. We collected all information into that online tool to make sure that for you it would be really easy to make your estimates.
So globalpayrollcalculator.com.
Globalpayrollcalculator.com and expressglobalemployment.com. And you can as well follow us on social media. So we are based in Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, basically any social media you can think of, and Twitter. Obviously Twitter.
And what about the name Acumen International?
Yes.
Does that have a website also?
Acumen International is our brand name, is our trademark.
Yes.
So we use Acumen International as our trademark, but our domain is expressglobalemployment.com, just to make really easy for customers to understand what this service is for. Because once they make their search on Google, for example, they come across Express Global Employment, so they understand immediately what this company is providing. But if they come across our trade name, our trademark name, obviously, I mean, people don't know what it means.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. This has really been an educational time for me, and I'm sure our audience worldwide will tune in on this as we promote it across social media. and on our front page, which is globalbusinessnews.net. And Nick Ganzha, thank you very much for being my special VIP guest today on globalradiotalkshow.com, coming to you today from London, England, and San Diego, California. Thank you very much.
Ed, thanks for having me.